Cameron ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
I know.
Wait.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. Crap. Well, apparently I'm streaming.
All right. I guess I'll start off my live stream. Hang on a
I
second.
was testing it because, yeah. All right, so I
Like,
guess
want to
I'm
play
streaming.
that Weird Al song at the end of Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. Everything you know is wrong.
All right, yeah. All right, I'm going to start this off.
Welcome to the Humane Mind. We're doing kind of a joke stream at the moment. I accidentally started the stream a little ahead of time because
it says you're off air.
Says,
oh well,
no, that's the Hangout. I'm streaming on OBS.
Everyone, shut the hell up! I'm about to start this. Okay, hang on a second. JJ likes no, I'm kidding. And we're live. All right. So today we're going to be discussing memes and shit. This is kind of like a shit post live stream. Essentially, we're going to be arguing for the opposite position. For instance, like of silly topics to start out with. For instance, like if you are a staunch opponent of putting pineapples on pizza, you're going to try and argue in favor of putting pineapples on pizza. And then when you're done arguing in favor of that, you try and argue, you try and take those points, you steel man those points, and you fucking destroy them. And once you destroy them, you
well, we're not practicing destroying them in this debate. This debate is we're arguing the opposition to our actual perspective. This is an exercise that we're going to build up on over time.
Yeah, and
right. And I'll start off by arguing. I'll make the conclusive case that Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill is the greatest movie ever made. Okay. No other. I mean, just look at the brilliant way Adam Sandler portrays two completely different characters, and you would never guess that these two characters are actually played by the exact same actor. You would never guess by watching the movie unless you read the behind-the-scenes commentary. That shows the absolute genius of this movie. And you can see the incredible way he manages to weave in lots of product placements that are completely and totally necessary for the story that he's telling. All right. The movie would not have worked if you didn't have shameless plugins for Dunkin' Donuts and Oreos every few minutes. All right. No other movie could possibly be so genius. And Johnny Depp's cameo, the way he just sits there staring, looking bored. All right. That is some brilliant acting. It's almost as if he doesn't want to be there. He pretends.
Yeah, that's Oscar caliber there.
That he doesn't want to be there, and that shows his incredible skill as an actor. Okay, Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill is a true cinematic masterpiece that everyone should buy on every format, and they should watch it a billion times until their eyes bug out of their heads.
All right, I'm sold. I'm going to buy 1 million copies.
Better be a damn good movie.
How do you follow that one up? That's
It better be a damn good movie if I'm buying 1 million copies.
Oh, yeah. Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill is totally worth it.
In fact, I'm going to sell everything else I have, all the other movies that I have, because I'm never going to watch anything else but Jack and Jill on repeat.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a little more of a kind of a sarcastic take on it.
Yeah. And may I also say Adam Sandler's voice when he's playing an incredibly stupid, obnoxious character is absolutely heavenly. All right. I could just listen to him squeal. Yes! I could just listen to that all day. I swear to God. Frank Sinatra, eat your heart out. Adam Sandler's brilliant, amazing voice will live on through the ages. Frank Sinatra will be lost to dust because everyone will remember the genius vocals of Adam fucking Sandler.
All right.
Jesus fucking Christ, that was an awesome way to start this out. Okay, I'm just gonna admit I don't think there's any possible way I could argue in favor of putting pineapples on pizza.
Okay, so
I mean,
your real position is that you're against pineapples on pizza, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're damn right.
So your objective is to try to convince people that pineapples on pizza is the way to go.
Okay, well, I mean, to be honest, the reason I've decided to back off of that is you could argue it's just a preference. So I'm trying to think of something else that would be more. I was gonna copy Loudmouth and go with why watching Dora the Explorer is not a torturous path to go down, but I think it'd be actually better to let HUMANe be the second one to go off with this.
Okay. All right. So there was a couple topics that I suggested for this kind of mock debate. So one of them was, is cereal a soup? Now, I thought this through, and so my actual position is that cereal is a soup. All right, so now I'm going to try to argue against it. Okay, this is actually going to be pretty difficult. Okay, so cereal isn't a soup because you can eat cereal without actually adding any liquid to it, and there's no such thing as a dry soup. Okay, so that's one point in favor of cereal not being a soup. Second one is there's no such thing as a salty cereal. Typically, soups, even the sweeter soups, do have some kind of salt or some kind of what's that? More of what's it's not savory, but is bitter the right word there? Because it's salty. Is salty considered bitter? I'm not quite certain
I guess you
on
could
that.
put savory.
But yeah, so cereal kind of contradicts that by being a sweeter. So there is, like bran flakes and all that sort of things that aren't necessarily sweet. There's no such thing as a salty cereal, which typically soups are more toward, more salty, more. Let's see what oof. I'm trying to make the argument that cereal is cold, but there are actual cold soups. Like, what's that? Gazpacho is cold.
Sounds so fucking gross.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's horrid. There are. Let's see. Are there any other arguments against cereal being a soup?
Or they don't come in cans.
Oh, okay, that's
know.
a pretty good one. I mean, no, actually, that's actually pretty. There's no such thing as canned cereal. Yeah, but typically soups in any kind of form can be preserved. Cereal can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, cereal can't be preserved because it requires milk. Oh, that's a really good one. I hadn't considered that before today.
You're welcome. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few joke topics I could have brought up, like, are traps gay?
Oh, yeah, do that one. Yeah. Like, try to convince. I mean, we can do this as a debate, like with opposite positions, because I mean, there's no real rules to how this works. It's just you're trying to make the opposite case of what you would normally hold. That's the only real rule to this.
All right, I guess to argue that traps, oh my god, to argue that traps are not gay.
Okay, I gotta get over this.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna say because the balls don't touch. Everybody knows it's only gay if the balls touch. So as long as traps aren't gay because the balls don't touch. So as long as
related, but I just kind of made a pretty snappy comment at vegan games on Twitter just now.
I'll check that out later. But
holy shit! Go ahead and say what it is, because.
Okay. Funny. I'll go to your Twitter. Well, I'll try and make the argument that traps are not gay.
That's the one that I like. Yeah. It's only gay if the balls touch. Therefore, traps aren't gay. And as long as you got some kind of device to make the balls not touch anything, You can have all the sex with traps all you want. You can actually have all. You can get gangbanged by a bunch of dudes and it's still not gay. That's pretty good.
I guess if you have a little wall or something to prevent that.
Yeah, you just get yourself some kind of device to hang on your sack and make sure the balls don't ever touch anything. Put them basically in a vacuum. Not a vacuum as in a vacuum cleaner, but a vacuum as in they can't touch anything.
Oh, that
vacuum cleaner probably gonna be in pain. So then.
Holy fucking Christ! The things we talk about in these streams.
Yeah. Okay. So what is another case of how traps are not gay?
I guess
it's not gay if it's in a three-way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not gay if it's in a three-way.
That's the song.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake told me that. So you can. The rules apply even if it's 2 traps and 1 cis male. Still not gay because it's in a three-way.
With a cis woman.
Or a cis woman, yeah. So 2 traps. So 2 traps and 1 non-trap. 3-way makes it not gay.
Yeah. That's a double. It's a double trap when it's 2 traps on 1 cis person.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Loudmouth! I just saw that. Okay, I'm gonna retweet that. But
wait a minute.
Yeah, I just saw Loudmouth's tweet. Okay, I'm gonna retweet that. Okay, so to argue that traps aren't gay, I guess you could argue the secondary, if hang on, get it back.
All right.
I guess I could argue something.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the God's not dead thing. Can I argue that?
Yeah.
All right. God's Not Dead is a great film because
off to a bad start, but all right, keep it up.
Sorry about that. I just had to take a little phone call. But anyway,
Right.
do you want to continue, Justin?
Yeah. Let him continue. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
All right. The Christian completely destroys the atheist and totally doesn't portray atheists as evil. So that's my argument for why God's Not Dead is a quality movie.
Because it's a pro-Christian, and even if it's not the best at doing that, it still achieves that goal. Is that the general case you're making?
Yeah.
Even if it stumbles through the whole case, it still, in the end, makes the case for Christianity. Therefore, it's good.
Right.
Okay, so because I got my composure back.
Oh, okay.
I guess you could argue that people are more attracted to what the looks are. For instance, I mean, people argue whether or not it's gay to bang a trans person or a trans woman, if a cis dude and a tranny bang, is it gay?
Pretty much.
Yeah. If Loudmouth were to suck on Riley's Adam's apple, that's pretty fucking gay, bro.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, that would make me not straight anymore.
Yeah, well, here's another case of how it could not be gay to have, okay, let's see.
I don't know. Let's say if a guy has Blair White ram them in the ass, I would probably say they'd be gay after that. I'm sorry.
But does that make Blair White gay? That makes the dude gay, but does that make Blair White gay?
I don't know.
Because Blair White is a biological male attracted to males. Therefore, yes.
Well, who says that they're attracted?
Yeah, who are
Yeah.
They're not necessarily attractive. They might just smash once, and they're like, "Yeah, I've had my share of tranny dick," and that's all they'll ever have.
I mean,
that's a one time. I mean,
I don't see it that way. I mean,
but the word trap is different from because when you say trap's gay, the word trap's different from a transgender.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a trap is not a trans person. A trap is someone who might dress the part, like a cross-dresser. A cross-dresser is not a trans person, so if you fuck a cross-dresser,
if there's something
gay.
about that, I don't know, if they have a...
So I guess you could argue...
Okay, so here's another here's my argument saying that traps aren't gay. So a woman can put a strap-on and then peg her boyfriend. that doesn't make the woman gay. It might make her boyfriend gay, but that doesn't make her gay, right?
I can't believe you just said traps aren't gay.
I would say being gay is more of the who's receiving, and if you're receiving it and you're a guy, that's kind of gay. If you're giving and you're the guy, because I mean, there's people in prison who rape other men. That doesn't make them gay, but usually the men that they're raping are gay.
Okay, well, loudmouth. The reason is
we're arguing the opposite here.
Yeah, we gotta argue the opposite. Okay, so like, I guess you could say. I cannot believe we're actually arguing this, but whatever. Okay, I guess you could say like if you take a look at someone's appearance.
Trying to make decent arguments, although I think we're failing epically.
We're failing. No, but in all seriousness, I guess you could say, okay, you see that person's looks, like if the trap has the tits and everything, and they can kind of somewhat pull off the feminine look, like they look really feminine even though they've not actually transitioned. I guess you could say they're more attracted to the like when it comes to trans. I'm not trying to include trans women here, but fuck it. Like when people take a look at Blair White, a lot of the comments are like, "Oh, nice tits" or "nice hips" or something, or just something like that, or they think Blair White's face is pretty or something. Like they're not attracted to the dick. Zach was heartbroken when Loudmouth said that Blair White did not have the dick removed, and Zach said, "I might be a little bi now." But, you should have seen that. You should have seen that.
That's actually a pretty good argument. It could. Yeah. It may not be gay. It might just be bi.
Blair White's face was entirely done with surgery. Okay, so Blair White had a male face that was like transformed to look more feminine thanks to like modern surgery.
But I mean, most people won't be able to tell that because they're. I mean, unless they got really up close and personal, and I don't think.
No, you can still scars. Particularly the arms. I mean, those big burly arms just don't look very
there are a bit masculine feminine chicks. I mean, take a look at Triologic for fuck's sake. Like, holy shit. Seriously.
Yeah, she's like as a cut body, but there's just a certain shape to the female body that even if they buff up that they still have, you don't see in Blair White. The shoulders are very masculine.
Yeah. I would say
but you could still
shoulders, but
yeah, I mean, but you could still apply the same thing. Like there's some masculine cis women who people joke that they look like chicks with dicks or something. Like that's what people joke like they look like. I mean, there's sometimes
attractive, even if they're cis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's an actual like legitimate argument. So there's the complaint against traps and how they'll wear makeup to make themselves look more feminine, or they'll have surgeries to make themselves look more feminine. So actual biological women, or I guess I should say biological females, because apparently women aren't biological anyway. So actual biological females will also wear makeup and have surgeries to make themselves look more feminine. So that doesn't seem to be a good argument against traps. That actually would make them more along the lines of actual cis women, right? If they're doing the exact same things cis women are doing, right?
Yeah.
What about trans men? So if we reverse the gender, we looked at trans men, and it's like I know a number of women who are completely like hetero, but when they see like they see the trans man, he's taking his hormones, and then he works out at the gym and develops like muscles and the mastectomy, and then has like the pecs and the like all the guns and everything like that, and they get really like there's a lot of cis women who absolutely they see a trans man and they like have a heterosexual like desire for the muscles and the shape.
But I mean, you're never going to grow a dick with any hormones though, so they don't got the organ that women crave the most that you can satisfy a woman with.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's the other characteristics that make him like that makes cis women go crazy. I mean, it's just like the upper part of the body, like that drives a lot of women crazy.
Yeah, but like a nice bulge makes women go nuts. I mean, if you got
was that done on purpose? The bulge makes women go for the nuts.
But I think
It's how the female brain works. Women are just as perverted as men. They just don't like to admit it.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Son of Lucifer?
I joined the stream. You guys are talking about if traps are gay or not.
Okay,
And I'm saying yes, they are gay.
Yeah,
let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. We're gonna argue we're gonna try and argue the opposite perspective, like in favor of like I think traps are pretty fucking gay too. Don't get me wrong. I would never bang a trap. Okay, let's just get that across right here, right now. You can, I mean, JJ would disagree, but whatever. Yeah, in all
he's not here to defend himself, man.
All right, whatever. But anyway, we're going to try and argue the opposite, and then I think maybe later on at some point we'll address what we said earlier and try and give a counterpoint to that or something like that. So, I mean, to address what Loudmouth just said there, I mean, for trans men, as far as I'm concerned, I think they'll take like some muscle from the arm because I think you can find that type of thing in a male penis. Like there's some muscle there, so they'll try and do that as well to try and like a sex change for trans men to try and to graft on a penis there. Thank God I'm not a trans guy. I don't.
That's kind of a separate issue. The trans versus trap. Is it possible to have a woman to have a female trap, like someone who is a woman who looks like a man, but is a trap? Or are traps only men that look like women? Does the definition of trap extend both ways?
Well, it was in Shakespeare they did that, like when the women dress up as men in the story.
Yeah, I mean.
But that's kind of like a literature. Yeah,
I mean that used to be the subject, and hilarity ensues, and all kinds of weird scenarios. But now it's like now it's like a woman dressed up like a dude and is hanging out in school, and nobody knows that she was really a girl, and everybody's like, "Yep, that's normal." I'm like, what? Is this supposed to be a story? How is this? And you're like what was that? Boys Don't Cry, right? Where like that was the big reveal, like, oh, she was a dude, or pretending to be a dude, but it was really a girl, and nobody knew, and then she ended up getting, I don't remember exactly what happened, but she ended up getting beat up or something like that, or maybe raped or something.
Oh, I heard about that. She got murdered. Yeah, she got murdered. I remember reading up about.
But
Men Don't Cry. Called,
yeah, Boys Don't Cry is the movie, but if that was going on like nowadays, like if that movie came out this year, I would be like, what was the point of that movie?
Yeah, I think okay, in the chat,
except for the whole negative outcome, I guess everybody's like, oh, this is perfectly fine and normal, but back then it was kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, okay, so someone in the chat says, huge difference between trap and trans, yes, to find. Okay,
yeah,
a trap...
We understand that, but...
Yeah, like, I'll just answer the question that XG Scrappy posts. Essentially, what like, a trap is someone who does not transition. It's essentially another way of saying cross-dresser. Like, a trans person obviously transitions, for instance, in trans women, they'll get the secondary sex characteristics like the tits and the hips and all that shit. Trans men, the exact opposite. Traps, it's just really just dressing different and wearing makeup. That's really all it boils down to. So I hope that, and if that's not specific enough, then I can't fucking help you, mate.
Because they still identify as men, like they don't. Whereas a trans person will identify with the opposite of their like their biological sex. Whereas like the so-called like the trap. God, I'm being politically incorrect today. It was that's like someone who still identifies with it. It's just kind of a game, like cross-dressing game.
Oh, yeah, so we're getting a bunch of people in the comments. So this is a kind of joke stream where we are arguing against our actual positions on these topics.
Yeah. And I don't know about some point, like, I'm going to address what I said earlier.
Other arguing the opposite positions. Yeah. Should I argue about no bullshit's extreme brilliance?
Are you serious? You want to praise bullshit or no bullshit for 15 minutes?
His amazing argumentative skills. Okay? Nobody can debate like that guy. Nobody can make arguments like, "Jeez, dude, you're dumb, bro."
Okay, so his arguments are so good, our feeble minds just aren't able to grasp how amazing they are.
I don't need to provide sources, you retard. This is essentially
you go to argument. Seriously, that tweet is like the greatest tweet ever. I don't provide sources, you retard. That is the greatest thing ever tweeted by anybody. I can't believe he actually was that retarded as to tweet that.
Dude, do you even go to college?
Did you even go to college, bro?
Okay, yeah, that no bullshit is really smart because he did go to college. So
yes, yeah, he got that awesome degree in communications.
Yep.
Yeah, he's also better at talking than all of us because his degree is communications. Yeah.
Oh shit!
He can't English well because no communications degree.
Just how awesome he was arguing against vegan gains when he brought up that brilliant example of Planet of the Apes to show that animals would do the same to us. Of course, it's great to argue ethics in the real world by bringing up a fucking fictional movie. All right, it's a brilliant argument. Who could possibly match that wit? Oh, yeah. He really did make that point. God. He really thought that was a good argument. A fucking movie. He's going to compare a fucking fictional movie to real life. What the fuck?
That, everybody, is the question of the century. I don't think we're ever going to get answers for. I don't know how loudmouth. I don't know how you'll be able to later argue against that. Actually, we all fucking know what I'm saying. I was about to say I don't know how. I don't know how one could argue
in favor of no bullshit.
In favor of bullshit. Well, let's be honest. That name is an oxymoron in his case. Okay. I felt so bad for yeah. Yeah.
We lost Josh, man.
He died. He died because of he died because of what we were just saying.
It's like these guys are on here defending no BS. All right, I'm out.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. What other...
yeah. I think I'm just gonna stick with one topic so I don't forget. You know. I guess I'll keep. I guess while you guys are talking, I'll.
All right, the next one I've got to look up so that way I make sure I get the quote right.
And I don't think I'm ever going to follow Destiny on Twitter. That's for sure.
Also, can I just take a second to praise Twitter's mass banning spree that has left people paranoid to post online, and just how amazing it is to improve free speech online. That's the best way. The only way to have free speech online is to silence people, of course.
That, everybody, is probably the best argument in the history of ever.
Exactly.
Think about
the more people are silenced, the more free speech we'll really have. Exactly.
I think we need to make that a quote, and we need to carve it, and we need to post it on our wall. So every time we make videos. Right
yes, put that quote among the "I don't need to provide sources," you retard. Holy shit.
Oh, Jesus. I can already sense people when they look back on the stream, they're like, what the fuck were these dudes smoking?
Well, this time I came into the stream completely sober, so no one could take drunk clips of me out of context, you know?
Yep. I still cannot believe Barry actually found that clip of it from a channel that's not even 100 subscribers.
I don't know how the fuck he found it. Is it really odd? I was like, what the fuck?
I think because someone either like maybe if he follows on Twitter.
Someone sent it to him, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, what is it? He tried to like moralize against me because I made some dirty jokes about this chick. I'm like, yeah. More dirty jokes. Okay. I'll make tons of dirty jokes in this stream just to say fuck off that attitude.
Yeah. All right, so here's here's the topic of debate that I'm going to try to tackle next. Has anyone ever been far, even as decided to use, even want to do more like? And I'm usually of the position that you've got to be kidding me. I've been further even more decided to use even go need to do look more as anyone can. But I need to argue the opposite of that What's the opposite of that?
I think you lost me, and like grammar was just like.
I don't think anyone can ever want to go do more like. So, if they wanted to, even then, the odds of them wanting to do more like could even go. I think that's my position on this one. Anybody wanna chime in on that?
No.
I think I lost like.
I have nothing to say to that.
I've lost when you said the first time I lost like 5 IQ points. Then when you repeated it, I lost like another 5. So I am now 10 IQ points below because of what I just. Oh,
that is Jesus the original
Christ.
word salad.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Yeah. It's an internet meme that's been going around forever.
Sounds like a bit of dialogue written by Ed Wood.
It's supposed to be English, but what it actually means. I can't even.
I genuinely think we all lost 10 IQ points. I think HUMANe lost like 15 because he had to find the quote.
I had to find the quote, read it, and then try to argue against it. I don't know if I actually did argue against it though. I might have just seconded it.
So I have an argument that's the polar opposite. Okay, it's like so I've chosen my least favorite YouTuber, and then I've got to try and convince you that he's a very good YouTuber.
Who's your least?
So you're gonna try to convince us that we all need to subscribe to HUMANe Mind? It's an uphill battle, man. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah. So you all need to to watch back from the beginning and watch the Fantastic Onision. So his earlier videos were very okay. I've taken a big challenge here.
Yeah, that's
all right. So
that is a really big challenge to make that guy seem anything other than like the scum of humanity.
All right. Yeah, all right.
So his earlier videos was a song, and the song was very catchy. I mean, even if people didn't like the song, it sticks in your head very much. The song about being a banana, and then when I watched it, it was catchy. Like it stayed in my head. Like it might not be the best lyric in the world, but it stayed in my head, and the costume was done really, really well. And the background production qualities were
like a banana. Yeah,
quite decent. Yeah, so banana. So we could say that is rather appealing.
Oh no, you didn't. Kicked from the stream.
And then he was edgy before it became like a total edgelord, like very, very on the edge. Like, who else is going to make a sandwich like with all their snot over that and like cough and snot over a sandwich and then eat the sandwich? Like that's a very something that's never been done before. So it could be considered an oppositional art piece. And then he became progressive. He started supporting the cause of feminism. I think it's important, like the dictionary definitions. I mean, a dictionary is a source of information. It tells you the original thing, and he's repeatedly given so he's able to define, a term. So we'll give him a cookie for being able to define things and being able to read from a dictionary. And that proves that he's progressive and he's woke, and how much he loves women.
Woke as fuck 2017.
Yep. And I think it takes a lot of talent. I think he's a very good makeup artist, the way that he can like cover his aging so well with the use of makeup. Because he's a very talented makeup artist. I mean, without the skills that he had, then he'd look like Skeletor. He'd look like a E.T.'s nutsack if he didn't put on the makeup. So I think he has a very big talent with makeup, and I think the next step is to do tutorials on how to cover up. It could benefit all of us. I mean, we could all learn to look younger than what we are. Yeah. Except for us, like some of you are already very young, but someone like me, I mean, I could benefit from like covering up, all the shit on my face. God, okay, that was painful.
Oh, I felt so bad. Old but gold. Lonely Wolf, old but gold.
Yeah. I genuinely, I could sense the pain in Lonely Wolf's voice, and never before have I heard such pain and desperation and things like that. I think officially I lost all will to live. Nice seeing y'all, and until next time.
Do it.
All right,
All
sure,
right.
sure.
So, there's actually a pretty decent one, and so this is a little more serious. So the guy asks, "Are you all moving towards Gab and Mines?" So, arguing the opposite. No, nobody should move towards any other platform, and everybody should just stick true to YouTube and Twitter, because those are the originals, and if we don't stay on there, and if we don't play by their rules, and get our positions out there while being PC, nobody in the mainstream is going to hear our positions, because nobody knows about Minds and Gab. So if we switch over to those platforms in order to voice our actual opinions, no one's going to hear or see them. But if we
I'm having a Patty Politics on my channel tomorrow, who was banned from Twitter.
Yeah, if we stay on YouTube and we follow all of their rules that are so clearly outlined for everyone, if you just bother to, check it every 5 minutes to make sure that you are in line with them, as long as you're just doing that, and as long as you're making sure that nothing that you say or do could possibly be confused as being offensive by anyone really. So as long as you're staying within that narrow window of things that are approved, at least people can hear your voice. At least people will hear what you're trying to say, rather than going to another platform where, you might be able to say whatever you want to say, but no one's going to listen. You might as well be a tree falling in the woods, right?
That actually was a very good argument, and I think I could actually address that if you want me to.
Oh, yeah.
All right, okay. So, going back to what you said about not their YouTube and Twitter are mainstream, is they are arbitrarily banning people for supposed hate speech that they fail to set a clear guideline of what is hate speech. Well, then again, if I did look at it, and a lot of times they do falsely ban people who are off the site forever. And if we tell our audiences, hey, go to Gab, go to VidMe, go to Minds, whatever social media that has nothing to do with Google or Facebook or Twitter, then it will become mainstream like how YouTube and Twitter has. And YouTube constantly has a whole host of problems. You could probably hold an entire live stream as to their problems, but I'll do the teal deer. You got their constant abuse of the flagging system and the reporting system and the copyright system, and fair use means fuck all today. People jerk off with the community guidelines and constantly abuse them, and they get off scot-free. Others are arbitrarily banned. They don't care about you unless you're bringing in the dough. So someone like Jossaman, who doesn't even have 100 subscribers, and Son of Lucifer, who doesn't even have 20 subscribers, YouTube doesn't give a fuck about. Social media, they don't care about you unless you have the big subs. But to address, what you said about VidMe and the others are not mainstream, we could make them mainstream if we bring enough attention to them.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that was a bit of a ramble, but yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that made sense.
Kind of.
I have 22 subscribers, by the way.
What?
What was that?
I have 22 subscribers, by the way.
That's congrats, but my second account has like over 50, so you're gonna have to fight me. Get on my level, man.
All right, man.
All right, it fucking sucks having to stream on a second account. I feel so impure. I feel so wrong.
I feel so successful here, don't I?
All right, so
you lucky bastard.
All right, so I think this was a good first attempt, and I think maybe I should make this like an once a month type thing, or maybe every other month we'll try to do one argue the opposite type of stream.
Yeah, but like getting them more like
make that a habit, because it's trying to get you to think about things from the other side, trying to see the other perspective. That's the point of this exercise, but. My brain is. I'm done. I'm like, okay, no more. Enough of this nonsense. Okay. Yeah. Enough of this nonsense, because fuck YouTube, fuck Twitter. That's why I'm making my own platform with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the platform.
Damn right.
Hopefully for next stream we can argue like we try to argue in favor of like more serious topics like I'll try and argue in favor of like I don't know communism or gun control or just things that are just in general terrible.
Or the flat Earth theory.
Oh God, that's too much cancer for me. There's no way I would feel. I feel like I'm insulting everyone's intelligence with that shit. I mean, just like how I would not try and argue in favor of creationism. Like I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. It's too cringeworthy for me. Or try and or loudmouth. Try and bring a woman on here. Like try and bring on Barbara for you to see, and try and get her to argue in favor of feminism. or however many chicks have gotten popular with the whole "why I'm not a feminist" bullshit.
Yeah, I know that's kind of the stereotypical thing to do.
You just mentioned the ultimate goal of this channel. If Barbara for you to see shows up on my stream, I think I've just won the internet.
I think
it's like that is the goal. All right, there.
Mute himself and turn off his camera for like 10 minutes, and then
and then forget to turn off the microphone, and so you hear it. No, I'm joking. You never fap to the waifu.
I think this channel has had a lot of degeneracy.
You always fap to the waifu. Who else are you gonna?
You cannot look at the definition of waifu. You are not supposed to. You are breaking the rules of waifu if you do.
I got my camera off. How do you guys know I'm not fapping right now? I'm not. I'm joking.
No, we kind of saw your hand motions. We hope you're joking, but we're pretty sure you are. Okay, Son of Lucifer. Somebody in the chat is asking what your channel. So you can post that in the. I think you can post that in chat.
I know you can't.
You can't.
He just commented like what he changed his channel name from Son of Lucifer to I can't remember what's your name.
You can read it.
All right. Well, I will link to everybody. So once this stream goes live, I will edit the description and put a link to everybody's channel in there. So you guys all have channels, right? Yeah.
Hey, can you give me a wrench? HUMANe?
Wrench? How do I do that?
Oh yeah, like
is that in the Google Hangout or is in that or where's
the stream?
Oh, no, how do that? I don't think I've ever had to do that. Okay.
I think I thought about making Loudmouth a moderator, but I feel like he would go like full authoritarian with it, and
that's not what
and everyone who tries to argue in favor of no bullshit would like just be banning them. But when it comes to AIU, I totally don't care. Like if he just starts like,
when they spam my chat, I ban them all. I'm like, talking to me is a privilege. You have lost that privilege. Banned.
Speaking of privilege, you need to check yours. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. The irony of them calling me a pussy for banning them from my channel is just too much to bear. The irony is just insane.
Yeah.
No, that's a load of bullshit. I mean, nobody is entitled to your time.
Yeah, that's very true. Like,
but the main thing is because Devin Tracy constantly goes on block crazy rampages where he'll just ban everyone disagrees with him from his channel, and he'll make whole videos where he's just going around banning people. All right, fuck you. You lost the privilege to talk to me, banned. So when they were spamming my channel, I did the same thing to them. They have no right to complain.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it came to like, I personally think muting people on Twitter is and on the internet in general, I think it's better than blocking people, because the reason that I would much rather mute than block is because they don't know you've muted them, and they won't create new accounts to go and shit post on your fucking feed. Like, if you ban them, they're going to know, okay, I got to create a new account when they're, like, probably fapping your profile picture and weird shit like that. And Lonely Wolf raised a good point that you have no...
I made you a moderator on my channel. I don't know if that helps.
Loudmouth Reviews.
Yeah, that just allows me to post links.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm no longer the Son of Lucifer.
Yeah, I have no desire to abuse that power other than post links. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say a white YouTuber and spam
Pornhub.
No, he would spam like the link to his Patreon, like a white YouTuber did. Baphomet, I think that's how you pronounce it. Baphomet Reborn.
Bahamut?
I don't know how the fuck to pronounce that. Either way, Son of Lucifer, are you alive? If he doesn't respond in 5 seconds, that means he's
Peach.
Yeah. If Baphomet Reborn does not tell us how to pronounce his channel name, then I'm just going to assume he is in favor.
I'm back.
Okay. Damn it. Anyway, I'm kidding. No. How do you pronounce your channel name? Baphomet Reborn?
Yes.
Okay. For a second, if you didn't respond in 5 seconds, I was going to say Son of Lucifer likes traps. Anyway, I am a cunt. Remember that.
Well,
if you
we
didn't
all
know.
heard this earlier on the stream. Apparently, you all like traps. Right?
No,
You're
no.
all just
Oh, God.
arguing how you could have sex with traps and it wouldn't be gay. That sounds like an endorsement for
God.
me.
Out of context, y'all look really funny.
You're gonna take it out of context, you know, because of this stream.
Baring will have a field day with this shit.
Oh yeah,
That's why I'm not saying anything.
yeah, exactly. 'cause
Actually,
Somebody
Son of
should have
Lucifer.
tried to argue that there is nothing funny about a woman with a penis.
Okay,
That would have
I
been
think
really
I can make the
difficult to do.
argument
Maybe
against that
we'll save
position.
that for next time.
Yeah.
yes, nothing is funny about a woman with a penis. A woman with a penis is the most unfunny thing ever.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
No.
I don't even...
Yeah, we hear. Yeah, I think I can argue that position that it's not funny. There's nothing funny at all about
you can't even say it with a straight face.
There's nothing funny about a woman with a penis.
There's
Because
nothing funny about a woman with a penis, okay? I can say it straight.
okay. There's nothing funny about a woman with a penis because a woman with a penis is just something normal that our evil white cisgender heterosexual male patriarchy
Wow.
Can't even finish it. Yeah. That's...
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's not funny because there's nothing. You wouldn't find it funny if there was a man with a vagina. Actually,
Yeah, you could.
Oh my
I
god.
find it funnier.
Yeah.
Didn't Southern like identify as male,
No,
like
she-
to get
No,
privileges?
she is still legally a man.
Okay, can she show his titties? I guess.
I don't know. I think Lauren
I'd like to
Southern could go out topless in public, and when somebody tries to arrest her, she just shows her ID as being male. I think that would be, and then they'd have to be like, okay.
All right, sure, Lawrence Southern. You can walk around topless. You can walk around topless in my house too.
Be-
awesome.
Yeah, legally she is a man in
That'd be
Canada.
totally legal.
So...
Because I might give consent.
Oh, so I don't know if you saw the recent video she did where she's in the slut walk over in Europe or whatever, and they're kicking her cameraman out of the parade because no men.
I think I heard that.
But the funny thing,
No, truth is, I didn't really like Lawrence Southern. I was just fucking around.
yeah, but
Yeah,
she's
well, I
pretty
was-
hot. Like, yeah, I saw a picture.
Honestly, her looks are very overrated. She's cute, but not like she's not gorgeous. You know.
yeah, but I thought it was
You
just kind of
suspect
funny.
it.
I was like, well, she's technically a man on paper, and nobody said kick her out of this parade for that. No one wanted to go down that road.
Yes.
But that's yeah.
Oh my god, I don't think I can argue against the notion that it is funny. Something funny about a woman with a penis or a chick with a dick. I'm sorry, it's impossible. I just could not do it with a straight face. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't think anybody really could. I don't think anybody really could unless they actually believed that, like Owen. Like it's there's
What's
some.
so
It was
funny
mostly-
about a woman with a penis?
Aspie's, it was for me. It was Aspie's reaction that kind of like that's when I lost it, and I thought, okay, this is like because the interaction was because it takes two of them to tango, and it was Aspie's response, the way he couldn't sort of control himself. I was thinking, yeah, that part of it was kind of funny.
I'm not gonna lie. That I genuinely, when Owen's like, when he's like, oh, chicks with dicks, like I started giggling myself because of that, and then Aspie's laugh and how just high pitched it was made me laugh.
Yeah, uncontrollable laughter during that.
And then you hear Owen like, what's so funny about a woman with a penis? And I just lost it. I'm like, are you serious, dude?
Yeah, so like I didn't get to debate him last, what was it, 2
Week.
Saturdays ago or whatever, maybe it was 3 Saturdays ago.
I thought you were supposed to debate on the 10th or something.
Was it really that far back? Yeah, because apparently he forgot
20
about
days.
it. He forgot about it and was, So we are trying to reschedule that.
Go hit the sack, but good chatting with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
we are trying to reschedule that. Don't know when that's going to happen. That's all on him. My schedule is pretty flexible at the moment, so it's whenever he's available to do that. He's back on Twitter now, so I'm at least trying to get... There's a little bit of back and forth going on at the moment with him, trying to get that figured out.
Yeah, or if the debate ends up not happening, you should do what Zach does. Take all your interactions on Twitter and try and like structure them in like a timeline of who started talking to who first, and then you do your voice, and you try and do a British voice, and Zach's British accent is hilarious.
That's Zach's thing. I'm not gonna steal his thing. All right.
So, what topic are you debating?
Anarcho-capitalism versus socialism.
Yeah.
Okay. Like HUMANE is an ANCAP.
It should be anarcho-capitalism versus anarcho-socialism. So it's strictly capitalism versus socialism, because we're both anarcho portions of that.
Well, I remember Zach asked him, "Are you like a libertarian socialist or anarcho-communist?" And he says he's a little more of like he can agree with the term libertarian socialist. But he and I took the political compass test. He showed me his results. I showed him mine, and he's like far left and pretty far down libertarian wise, but he's not like all the way to anarchism, but he's not against the idea. He doesn't know enough about, like he said, he's not sure where he stands on the whole anarcho-communism or socialism, but he's still around there.
I would say he kind of has to be an anarcho-socialist or an anarcho-communist, because that's one of his main defenses on saying why Lenin, Stalin, and Mao and Pol Pot aren't communists. It's because you say, it's because they're they're dictators and they're authoritarian and they're the state, and I'm like, well, then you'd have to argue for for true communism, it has to exist without a state. Otherwise, those examples are those examples would be communist, because the only defense they have against saying, oh, Stalin's not with us, Lenin's not with us, all of these evil people, they're not with us. The only defense that they use is the government. That's the only separation they can make. Is one, that's what happens when communism exists with a government, but true communism doesn't have a government, so those people aren't a part of it.
I gotta actually bring up something about that. Essentially, it seems like they don't understand. Like, I feel like we're arguing against state-imposed collectivism, state communism, and their idea, since they're on the libertarian left, is voluntary collectivism. I don't think they're truly understanding that.
No, I think that's more of a something. So that's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around, because when we say communism, when the vast 99% of the world says communism, they're referring to the USSR, they're referring to Cuba, they're referring to North Korea, they're referring to Venezuela. Those are all understood communist countries and self-proclaimed communist countries. But when communists argue for communism, they're arguing for something that has never been achieved. So they're arguing from a different definition of what communism actually is. So you have to look at it from their perspective, and so I think from their perspective, anarcho-communism is the only true communism. So I think that is their position.
I think I could argue. Yeah, I think I can make a decent argument about why the workers shouldn't have the means of production. Of course, they get a new. I earned a new label this time from our video about questions capitalists have for communists and socialists.
Mm-hmm.
I earned a new label, HUMANE, and I think this is awesome. I've been called a sexist. I've been called an ableist. I've been called a transphobe, and I was called classist in that video. I earned 4. You got to catch them all, HUMANE. I think I can. I think I might. I may. Yeah.
There going to be an app on your mobile phone? It's like SJW Go.
Absolutely. And as a result, I get a sandwich. Not just any type of sandwich, a patriarchal sandwich. For those that don't know, it's when a sandwich made by a woman is given to me because I earned 4 oppressive terms. It's amazing.
You got to call it a sandwich at that point. You can't say sandwich. It's a sandwich.
Sandwich, yes.
Make me a sandwich.
Oh, out of context.
That's the achievement unlocked, the make me a sandwich achievement.
Yeah, if I get 5, I am just literally to the right of Hitler, and holy shit, I think I will be the most oppressive person in the world if I get 1 more. Owen has never called me a racist or a white supremacist. I think he did.
Next.
Yeah, I think if I argue with crime statistics and Black Lives Matter, I think I will have unlocked the ultimate achievement of 5 SJW buzzwords.
If you mention IQ, that might be an instant. It's white supremacist. If you mention IQ, try to make some kind of argument where you just mention IQ, and you don't even have to say one or the other, and see if that triggers that's inherently racist, and you're a white supremacist.
I am not a race realist, so I don't think I'd argue that. I actually watched this video explaining how race realism is kind of racist, and I could actually agree with him, which I was surprised because I didn't even know what race realism was. So I listened to his video, and I'm like, all right, that makes sense. I get why it's usually white supremacists who do argue about race realism, like in favor of race realism, and it's like whenever it's like, okay, let's say hypothetically blacks had a lower IQ on average. I don't think that is hypothetical. My problem with the race realism is it's an incomplete picture. Yes, they have facts and statistics to back their positions up, but that's a narrow view of all the things that come into play. Yeah. So my problem is it's ignoring all the facts that counter their points. Yeah, like some of the places like Africa, like there's certain parts of Africa where the quality of education's absolute shit. Yeah. They don't seem to even take that into account. And besides, I don't even if let's say hypothetically, let's just say for a moment that blacks on average had a lower IQ. So what are we supposed to do with that? Like, why bring it up? Like, I mean, it wouldn't justify or be a good justification for any, like, to mistreat them. Like, why would one need to bring that up? Like, this whole race realism shit always just never made sense to me. There's several people. I think Stefan Molyneux is a race realist, right?
Yeah, he made video on the topic, and this is something that I've disagreed with people like Jeff Holiday on and that sort of thing, because they look at Stefan and they think, oh, well, that makes him racist. I don't think that makes him racist. I think he's looking at the actual facts, because he's done videos explaining the exact problem when it comes to the black community in the United States, and he doesn't base it off of race, but he's saying it's based off of the family unit, and the family unit for the black population was decimated by minimum wage, by welfare states, and affirmative action. Also, the drug war was a pretty huge hit to the African American family, and those four things in unison are a much bigger have a much bigger impact on the overall IQ levels that we're seeing in the studies when it comes to blacks. So that means that there are environmental factors and not genetic factors. But the race realist, like Richard Spencer's and those kinds of people, they argue just on the IQ thing. They argue just on genetics, and that's where I think they're incorrect. Genetics play a part, but it's only half of the picture. The other half would be the environmental factors, also personal choices, which that's what I've tried to hammer home repeatedly when I was on Andy Worski's stream, or the Worski live stream, is you can have the entire environment against you, and you can have your genetics against you, and you can still come out on top if you make the right choices personally. So overall, personal choice is the determining factor in your life. You can't get around that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very shitty IQ, like myself, like just from personal experience. It's like, it's, maybe the IQ sort of says, this is kind of a predisposition or whatever, but, it's up to people to challenge, whatever's there in front of them and to, break through that barrier. Because, that's the thing, like, even though I do have a low IQ, like probably below 100 or even like 90 or something like that, it's like, I still got like, plenty of degrees, and, and because I read every day and I constantly readjust my brain to make it kind of very robust, and so that I've got a sharper
and that's
intelligence that's based on choice. Yeah,
that's something else that I would love to see a study on, but haven't really seen. studies on improving your own IQ. So usually when it comes to IQ, it's talking about a general population, or most of the studies that are cited when it comes to this sort of things. But it's not following someone throughout their life to see if their IQ improves because they're constantly doing things to improve your IQ. Because IQ has two different metrics. One is your capacity to learn. The other is your actual knowledge. Because you could have a really high IQ and be incredibly stupid because you never bothered to look at anything. You never research anything. Your knowledge of the world is limited based on what you've chosen. Like, if you spend all day playing World of Warcraft and you have a really high IQ, you're going to know a lot about World of Warcraft, and you're going to know zero about the real world. And this is something that's highlighted. I don't know if you guys have watched the BBC Sherlock show, right? The Sherlock Holmes. He's kind of the embodiment of that. Is he has a really high IQ, and he's really good at solving murders and analyzing situations, but he is a terrible person because he doesn't bother to learn anything about anyone else. He doesn't bother to learn about all these other things that are actually severely important to social interaction. And it makes him kind of this interesting, quirky character. But in real life, no one would listen to that guy, even if he was correct. No one would bother listening to Sherlock Holmes. No one would take his advice because he's that abrasive of a person, because he never bothers to learn what people need in order to get along with other people. It's because he's intentionally limiting himself on what he can know. And so that is in my mind, that's a very stupid thing to do. It works great for a fictional character. In real life, that's a pretty terrible thing to do. And in real life, his IQ score would probably be really high as far as his capacity, but really low as far as what he knows. Because I don't know if you've taken IQ tests, but some of them are pure logic. Like, hey, here's a list of symbols, and then find the next symbol in this pattern. Others ask you questions about, like, Shakespeare, and they're asking you questions about, like, famous literary figures and historical events. It's more of a test of your knowledge to determine your IQ level. I forget what those are, but I've taken both styles. So it's kind of... Yeah.
I think a lot of the really key learning really has to take place after, because it's unfortunate. Because I sort of feel, because when I talk to someone like Esmond, who's currently, in the school system, it's, there's a lot of mistakes are being made, and I don't want people to get turned off like literature, because sometimes you get exposed to the worst of particular, like when it comes to Shakespeare, like you get exposed to Romeo and Juliet, which is probably the worst.
Yeah,
that's probably.
I can agree.
My least favorite Shakespeare play. Yeah.
I think I could probably make an entire video ranting of why I don't like it, rather than like a 5-minute rant about it, or 25 seconds of why I could rant in favor of it. But
yeah,
I'm just gonna say this, like, for those that when he's talking about, I did make a video answering some of his questions. Like, I personally, there's some classes I have where I genuinely could not care less. I view it as a class that is not that important, that I personally couldn't give a sauteed rat's cunt about. I mean, if people want to be in that class, it's totally cool, but I just could not give a single shit about it. I care about math, I care about ROTC, I care about a number of things. But when it comes to
Okay, so yeah, I'm reading the chat, and so this guy.
Very much.
Oh, you cut out there, so I thought you were done with your point. I was like, that's kind of a weird place to stop, but I guess you just cut out.
Yeah, I just cut out for a second. Sometimes it's hard to care because we have to read this stupid fucking book called House on Mango Street. I've had to read that since the 7th grade, and I'm in the 10th grade now, and I'm like four fucking years I've had to read that piece of shit, and then like I don't like
never heard of it.
Yeah. I sometimes actually read it, and sometimes it's somewhat interesting.
What's the overall premise of it? I mean, what's the footnotes version of it?
There's a poor girl. She lives in a house on Mango Street, and she doesn't call it my house. She calls it the house. She doesn't really see it as her home. She's a poor girl who lives in a kind of somewhat rundown house, and yeah, she's a young Latina girl. As I did pull up, like, I just Googled it because I can't entirely remember. But yeah, it's a 1984 coming-of-age novel by Mexican-American writer Sandra Cisneros. Deals with Esperanza. I'm just too white to pronounce that last name. A young Latina girl and her life growing up in Chicago with Chicanos
Yeah.
and Puerto Ricans. It was published in the 1980s. It has 110 pages. I did read it all the way in the 8th grade, and it was kind of she does kind of get some trauma in her childhood.
What's the significance of it? I mean, it's
it's like
out of all the books that you could read, and that one just okay.
Yeah, the reason is we were also learning about culture. Like, I just thought to myself, I don't give a fuck about anybody's culture. Like, I'm sorry to anyone who might get offended by this. Unpopular opinion time. Everybody's culture on planet Earth, I could not care less about, because I don't know if I have a culture, and even if I did, I couldn't care less, because no one's really going to care. Like, it is the most first world problem anyone can imagine. And the fact, and I want to ask that teacher, what is the end game? Like, what's going to be great about me learning about this book that was written 30 years ago that I can't relate to at all? Did I grow up poor? Yeah. Am I Latino? I don't really consider myself that. I'm like a quarter Mexican. Am I currently poor? No. Okay. Humane. There's someone in the comments of a video.
I was reading that. So okay, and this is something that I do agree on with him. So this XGC Scrappy guy, he kind of confuses me, because I know I've argued with him in comment sections. I didn't even realize he was a subscriber, but now apparently he's following me around and posting stuff in my super chat. But he seemed pretty vehemently against me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe he was trolling or something like that, or maybe, I don't know. But I do agree with him on this point. The variance in individual IQ is much greater than racial IQ. And this is something, I've said this several times. Humane is a total joke. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That's what I needed for today. Thank you, Secular Hawk.
I just uploaded our video about our stream about anarcho-capitalism 2 months after the fact. Secular Hawk, a social democrat who follows me on here, says I've never heard of an anarcho-capitalist who supports Donald Trump. There's a reason libertarians usually hate Trump. I don't know. I can't speak for you because I'm not you, but it sounds like you did some tactical voting. Not like you liked Donald Trump. It was just out of tactical voting. So I don't think Secular Hawk, which I think is to mock secular talk, obviously, does not like Donald Trump, which I don't either. A social democrat. I do not know what the fuck a social democrat is. I'm gonna look that up right now.
It's supposedly what Bernie Sanders was, but it's basically a socialist. There's no difference between whether it's voted in or whether it's brought about through force. It's still socialist. Hey, we voted.
Okay.
It's like saying I think this was a Steven Crowder bit, I think this was a Steven Crowder bit. I don't know if it was on his show or if it was on PragerU, when he's talking about you could have a democratic murder, right? But we murdered democratically, and you're like, that doesn't make it better. Adding the democratic to the main thing doesn't, socialism is bad, but we did it democratically, therefore it's good. And you're like, that doesn't democratic.
I think
doesn't make a difference in that situation.
There's a PragerU video called "Democratic Socialism is Still Socialism."
Yeah. So I believe that was Steven Crowder. So that's where that was from. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Voting for Trump was a tactical decision because I think he disrupts the traditional Republican Democratic, charade. So in my mind, while I know that, I can't really know for sure, but while I'm of the firm belief that anarcho-capitalism is the way to go, any steps towards that end, I think, is a good step, which is why I would support Trump over Gary Johnson or some of the other candidates, because I think Trump is going to push the nation more towards anarcho-capitalism than government, because of his position on building the wall in order to stop our hemorrhaging of welfare, stop our the issues that we have with unemployment, because we need to address those situations before we can fix all the other stuff. And so he's slowly tearing apart all the things that government is doing to get power.
Yeah.
Because government is using immigrants to increase its own power.
I just hope that the thing is, it just seems like when will this wall be built? Like I'm just, for full disclosure, I never supported Donald Trump. I admit this with an extreme amount of pain. I initially supported Bernie Sanders, then it was Hillary Clinton. Then I kind of read up on why people didn't like her, and I actually kind of agreed with where they were coming from. And then I didn't support anyone for a while. Then I was in favor of Evan McMullen. He was like just independent of all parties. But I also didn't mind Gary Johnson. I did know there were some people who did not consider him a true anarcho-capitalist, but I wasn't. And I mean, libertarian. Yeah. Which I cannot remember what it was that made people say that. But like, the reason I try not to ever say not a true, include whatever you're trying to say is they're not truly, is because then people could say, oh, you're using the no true Scotsman fallacy. I mean.
Yeah. So technically Gary Johnson was libertarian, but I could not support him because of his stance on religion and guns. So
what was his stance on religion and guns?
Because for religion, when he had the debate with, it was him, McAfee, and Austin Peterson, and Austin Peterson was hammering these points home against Gary Johnson. So his position on guns is he wants more gun control. That's a pretty big no-no to anybody who's libertarian. That is more of a it gives Gary. So while I agree with Gary Johnson because he's very pro drug legalization and all that sort of things, he's for getting rid of mandatory minimums and things along those lines. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, it's the Second Amendment for a reason. It goes free speech and then guns, and the Bill of Rights are in order of importance. So they're all important, but without free speech, you can't have a functioning government. Without the right to defend that free speech, the free speech is pointless. So, I mean, they all stack on each other in order of importance. And wanting stricter gun control will lead us to the point where, we've got free speech and we've got no way to defend it, and so then that effectively will remove our freedom of speech. And that's in my mind. I mean, that's a huge slippery slope type argument. But if you look at history, there's countless examples of exactly that happening.
That kind of back up that theory. Yeah. I'm trying to see when I can have a stream with Secular Hawk, because that person commented on my the whole 8 values quiz thing, and apparently the person did not agree with how I was answering when it came to economics and things. But yeah, overall, like I personally think when it comes
he's
to
a socialist, so odds are he's at complete odds with your economic perspective.
Yeah, he did agree. I think he agreed with me on some social things, like So I guess we'd somewhat agree there. Like when it came to, for instance, the candidates, when it came to Evan McMullen, a pro-life, I could not agree less. When it came to his stance on same-sex marriage, I definitely could not agree with him less, as I view. And the irony is his own mother is a lesbian in a same-sex marriage, which I thought was the ultimate irony. I just thought to myself, what the fuck are you on about, dude? But he did respect the decision of the Supreme Court on that. He did say he was in favor of overturning Roe v. Wade, and I'm like, oh. But, I mean, so I was like, the lightest support imaginable. You know Mjolnir Man, right? He did support Donald Trump, but it was the lightest support you can imagine.
Yeah, so I've been a little more staunchly in favor of Trump, because I think he is throwing such a big wrench into the government as it is. And all of even if he just did the things that were in his first 100-day executive orders, all of that is a huge boon for the U.S. population as a whole, which is amazing. That, I mean, like his first 100-day plan, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what we need. So even if Congress fights him tooth and nail for the rest of his administration, they can't stop him on that, because all of that is executive order. All of that is in the bounds of the presidential authority, and that's all exactly what the country needs. The fact that he's getting stuff done on top of that, like his budget plan at the moment, I'm in complete agreement with that. So all of that is stuff taking down the power of the government, and anything that reduces the overall power of government, I am for.
Yeah, I think it's very important when we talk about like presidential candidates. Is I think the most important thing is I don't give a shit about their personality. I mean, yeah, sure, I do not like I do not think the president should necessarily have a Twitter account during the presidency because I do believe it is counterproductive to them, like of them doing their jobs. Like for instance, I find it annoying whenever Trump tweets out like some attack against some politicians. Like,
Oh.
you have way more important things to worry about than being on fucking Twitter.
No,
but when it comes to presidents,
I think it's amazing. I think it's actually a diversion tactic, and it's working pretty darn effectively.
Well, when it comes to presidential candidates, I think the most important thing is to look at their foreign policy, where they stand on the social issues, things like that. For Gary Johnson, he did a lot of budget spending cuts. Like, didn't President Andrew Jackson do that a lot? Like he blocked a lot of spending bills.
Yeah.
Which I think that's one of the ways he got rid of the national debt. Which sounds like a great idea, actually.
Especially when it's 17 trillion.
No, it's closer to 20 trillion.
Yeah, closer to 20 trillion now.
Yes, I do believe cutting like a lot of spending.
Yeah, 17 trillion was the Obama presidency alone, because we had trillions before that. I think it was 2.5 or maybe.
Didn't he spend a lot to bail out Wall Street? Or I don't. Yeah.
Which they paid back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Foreign policy. He opposes foreign wars and pledges to. This is from Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
Pledges to cut the military budget by 43%. I do believe we'd be all right.
Yeah,
cutting it by
we overspend, which is something Donald Trump kind of platformed on, but hasn't really followed through.
That's the thing, though. It's like it seems like a lot of things he would say like that. It seems like it's just going to. It was just a hollow promise, like the border wall, which even though I do believe
there's prototypes and stuff up, but
because originally it did seem like a waste of money, and I do consider myself fiscally speaking conservative there. And I do not like the idea, and I've always held that type of view. Like, I do not like the idea of wasting in general. Like, I don't like wasting money. I don't like wasting food. Well, because I'm fat, and also there's people in other nations that would be killing people, probably literally to have that food. So, abortion, he is pro-choice. Gary Johnson. I was going to argue it would be a bit of a contradiction to be a libertarian pro-lifer. But that would probably be an interesting discussion for another.
It's a 50-50 issue with libertarians. It all depends on where if you think a fetus has human rights, which I am of the impression that on conception that's a new life, and therefore it has the right to life and everything that comes with that. I understand the opposite position and why people feel that.
I would also ask the question, which you guys, I think you and Sinister said that was just semantics, which didn't seem to really address the point I was making of if it starts at conception. I don't know how old you are, HUMANe. I would guess maybe mid-30s. If I'm wrong, then sorry.
Most people say I'm a lot younger than that, so that's actually a good. Yes, I'm starting to look older. Yeah. It's the facial hair.
Yep. I'll just use Lonely Wolf because his birth year is actually on his page. Okay, Lonely Wolf is 37. If life were to start in conception, and let's just say we're a year later, let's say it's 2018. No, actually, forget that. He was born in 1980 is what his page says. Who's to say if life starts at conception, he wasn't born 9 months before then when he was originally conceived? How come he's not like closer to 39 years old?
Because that's
38 years old. I'm sorry, 38 years old. Brain fart on my behalf.
That's not how we count somebody's age. That's
if life begin we count life.
So this is something I think we brought up in that debate.
But
in Korea, when you are born, your age is not 0; it is 1. So in Korea, it is custom that the number people give for somebody's age is 1 year higher than it would be if they were born somewhere else. So that's it. So that's just kind of like a custom in the United States. Is you start off at 0 when you're born, and then we count how many months from that point on. And I think that comes from not knowing the exact date of conception.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So.
I think
if that was because your age is based off of your birth date, not your conception date. I think that's a better way of explaining that. But in Korea, it's 1 year because I guess they think that your consumption takes an entire year. I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah, I actually I remember. Yeah, that's fine. I remember when I was looking at Gary Johnson's where he was like on some of the issues I could agree with him on. Like I agree with him on abortion. You said he was in favor of gun control, right?
Yeah,
he's in favor of it.
That is something Austin Peterson repeatedly hounded him on in several debates. The other thing was Gary Johnson said he would make someone who is religiously against gay marriage or something like that bake a cake and do a gay wedding. And I'm like, well, that's kind of an anti-libertarian stance to have.
Yeah, that one.
For instance, like I would never force a Jewish person to bake a Nazi cake.
Yeah,
I would never make like, for instance,
it's controlling a business owner and saying you don't get to control what happens in your business. We do. That to me is very anti-libertarian.
Yeah. For instance, I believe a business has every right to refuse service to anybody. For instance, I'm an atheist, and let's say HUMANE here, since you're a non-religious deist, I think you said. Let's say you were a full-blown.
That term. That's a really good one.
Yeah, let's say you were a Christian, for instance, and you asked me, "Are you religious?" And I said, "No, I'm an atheist." If you wanted to, you could say, "All right, I'm not serving you." And even though it would be kind of annoying,
it would be
it's your business.
Yeah.
I would, even though it'd be a dick move. It would
cost me money to have that position.
Yeah. I would support your right to do so, even though I'd be like, what a dick. So yeah, Johnson foreign policy, I do agree with him a lot. Okay, because I remember
it's been a while. In 2012.
Yeah,
he got my vote in 2012 because of his foreign policy and his
foreign policy
and his position on mandatory minimums and pardoning all the people who are in prison over victimless crimes.
Absolutely. And he would, and the civil liberties, I do quite very much agree with him on. Gun control, which this says a bit of a contradiction from what you said he's in favor of.
Yeah.
According to this, it says he opposes federal and state gun control legislation, saying, "I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, so I would not have signed any legislation banning assault weapons or automatic weapons." He says that the Second Amendment was designed to protect us against a government that could be very intrusive, and in this country we have a growing police state. If people can own assault rifles or automatic rifles, I think it leads to a more civil government. By the way, you brought this up in your first debate with Cult of Ham.
Yeah.
You brought up that these
that's something
terrorists
on his actual campaign, because that's not what he was saying in the actual debates. So maybe he changed that position after those debates. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially what you said in your original debate with Cult of Ham, which I watched the whole thing, and around the 19-minute mark, I absolutely lost it because he sounded like he just came everywhere. But essentially, you brought up somewhere in the debate, you brought up that terrorists could fight the most powerful military in the world, the United States military, with using just assault rifles and
anti-aircraft. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm very much against banning those things, because if our government were to get that powerful and try and be all tyrannical against us, we could easily fight back using those things. I would never support. I know this makes me sound like a crazy pro-gun person. I mean, I am very much in favor of the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, things like that. Yeah. Where was it?
I don't think it makes you sound like a crazy gun nut, but it makes sense. Like, is it
okay?
So think about so the United States military has nuclear power, jets, bombs, tanks, armored personnel carriers. A legal citizen, a law-abiding citizen, I should say, of the United States, the maximum thing that they can have is a semi-automatic rifle and an anti-aircraft gun, which that's the anti-aircraft gun. I'm kind of like, really? They allowed that? All right, I'm for it.
Yeah.
So if the two were to fight each other, the United States the citizens of the United States could hold off their government for a good amount of time. But imagine if the United States, it was legal to own bazookas, if it was legal to own grenade launchers, if it was legal to own personal tanks, if it was legal to own armored personnel carriers as a private citizen, that fight would be much more in favor of the United States citizens versus their government. So the more firepower you give to the individuals, the more they can stand up for themselves. Whereas if it's tanks and nukes and jets versus handguns, that fight is not going to drag out as long as it could. And if you're limited to knives, well, then that fight is going to be over in a week if the United States government has all of their military military power, and the only thing we have to fight back against them is knives and and swords. Yay, we lost.
Well, if you don't have your gun, the King of England could just walk around any time and you could start shoving you around. It's like the Simpsons quote.
Yeah. Gary Johnson, however, would limit rocket launchers, which I don't know where I stand on that. I can get why some people would argue in favor of it, but I mean, again, like, I know it sounds like a slippery slope, but I mean, if the government, like, you never know. You truly never know until it actually is going to happen. Johnson has called for 1,000-person task. Like, he does oppose gun sales to individuals on the no-fly list, which I do disagree with him on.
So that was it. So it wasn't. So it wasn't necessarily getting more gun controls like a federal amendment. It was the no-fly list. Okay, because that's the point Austin Peterson kept hammering home, and is like the no-fly list. If you support that position, all people have to do in order to disarm their opposition is put them on the no-fly list. That you don't need any kind of legal act. You don't need any kind of act of Congress or executive order. All you need to do is start putting people on that list for whatever reason you want to put them on that list.
I would argue when it comes to putting people on a no-fly list, I do believe you have to have probable cause. I like the whole I mean, if they put you on for a reason and it's an actual reason, not just some bullshit, then I would kind of disagree with them on opposing barring gun sales to people on a no-fly list. Like, I think we'd have to always look into the reason for it.
Well, if you look at the actual no-fly list, there were senators with their names on there that were unable to fly. Active U.S. senators. Active U.S. senators that were not under investigation, that were not awaiting trial. Nothing on their record that would put them on the no-fly list. But their names were on the no-fly list, and they were prevented from flying in the performance of their job. There's other instances of, what was this? There was one of the instances we're talking about, some 9-year-old kid was on the no-fly list for some, I guess because his name was similar to someone else's name or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people who were falsely flagged by the no-fly list. This was a huge controversy when they were talking about banning firearm sales based on that, because there was a lot of people who are on that list for no apparent reason. It was a bureaucratic mistake or something along those lines.
This was created under W. Bush, his administration. It's been continued under the administration of Obama and currently President Trump. I would argue, when it comes to the no-fly list, that there are false positives, which there have been notable cases, like numerous children. One was at the age of 1, who was on the no-fly list.
Yeah, what did he do? He's under investigation. Probable cause against a 1-year-old. Most evil 1-year-old in the world.
Okay, so I can get where he comes from. So maybe I actually can see why he would say that. Like, so, I do believe that if we're going to have,
I knew it was something to do with guns and Johnson. I just didn't remember the exact context of it. Yeah.
Wait, you agree with him opposing barring gun sales to individuals on the no-fly list?
No, I don't agree with Johnson on that. That's why I was like, that was the tipping point where I'm like, I got to find another candidate. I wanted Austin Peterson to win, but after seeing that in those positions, I'm like, I don't hate Johnson, but I cannot vote for him again based on those two facts.
So you support?
That's when I started looking at Trump and his stuff, and I'm like, okay, at least he lines up mostly, even though he's running as a Republican, he lines up more, in my view, of what we should do than Johnson, because of Johnson's stances there.
Wait, are you in favor of barring gun sales to people on no-fly list? Because that's what it says. He opposes. Gary Johnson opposes barring gun sales to individuals on the no-fly list. That's what it says. He's against buying guns that are on the no-fly list. Those people, because he claims it has such such lists have a high error rate.
No, that was what Austin Peterson was saying about Johnson.
Yeah, I guess he changed his position after the debate.
It's possible he changed his position, but what he was arguing for was, he was arguing for the no-fly list being a good metric of that, which, in my mind, I was like, that is way more exploitable than anything else you're talking about. So that was. I might have been wrong. I might have, maybe I'm misremembering, but if that was the case, then maybe I should have voted for Johnson over Trump. But I don't know.
I mean, the only people that have a shot in the United States are obviously the Democrats and the Republicans.
Oh yeah, because Johnson
yeah.
once again didn't even get over 2%, or got around
Jill
2%. Yeah,
Jill Stein didn't even get 0.4. I think was what she got, and she's Green Party. And they're to the far left.
Oh, dude, Green Party's out of their mind.
I mean, the environment was the one thing. Everything else, I'm like, you guys are fucking crazy. She was I think she may have been to the left of Bernie Sanders, so maybe that's why I thought she was fucking crazy.
Those environmental, like the Green Party is all the environment over everything. And I don't know if you know who Alex Epstein is, but he's really good on this topic. Well, Alex Epstein and Patrick Moore are really good on this when they're talking about the people who are environmentalists to the point where they would rather see people die than something happen to the environment or animals. It's those
people,
like, those crazy people who think all human activity is bad, and they'd rather see humans living in caves and dying of diseases and infections than to see human life thrive. That is what the Green Party represents to me. It's the people who are like, oh, we just need no human interaction, no human footprint. We just need to live the bare minimum. And you're like, so you want humans to suffer and live less fulfilling lives just so that they have less of an impact on the environment. That's freaking insane thinking to me.
Yeah, that to me, it's like I mean, I do value animals. I do think they're important, but I do value humans more because, oh my god, if a vegan sees this, we're all fucking dead.
No, let the vegans go. Come on, vegans, I'll take you on.
Yeah, bring it on. Essentially, yeah, when it comes to animals and humans, I do value animals not as much as humans because there's a lot more of a loss when it comes to if a human dies versus an animal. Like if an animal dies, nothing all that bad happens. I mean, if it's on the endangered list, then yes, we lost we're losing or risking losing an entire species. When a human dies, a lot more is taken out of the world. Like if for instance, if I were to die, my parents would freak out. I'm their only son, so they would probably have things like depression for a while. For instance, I had an aunt pass away a few months ago, and my uncle's been a wreck ever since, and I can't blame him. Things like that. When a pet dies, yeah, it messed me up for a while, but I got over it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more to get over.
A pet death, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. A family member death, that stays with you for years.
If it's a spouse,
depending on how close it was. Like, even the pet that's been with you for years and is always by your side, a pet can be replaced. Family member, a loved one, best friend, like one of my best friends in the Air Force committed suicide. I still think about that, and I'm like, it's been, like, I didn't talk to the guy for 4 years before he committed suicide, but I'm still kind of, I mean, that's something that hits me every now and again. I'm like, was there something I could have done? What could I have done to prevent that? I didn't see any of the signs coming, and that's something that haunts me. And it's something that every once in a while I'll think back. But I had pets that I knew him for maybe 3 total years, of my life. I had pets that I had for 7 and 8 years that I don't think about ever, like unless I'm thinking somebody asked me what kind of pets I had when I was a kid, and I'm like, trying to look back, but he's something like I'll just be doing something else, and I'm like, oh, dude, that guy. It just hits you, some kind of memory of a person who used to be alive that committed suicide. That's more impactful. Yeah. The short amount of time that I spent with that guy is way more meaningful than the years I spent with a pet.
Like I had a dog 5 years ago. It was around October of 2012. I witnessed the dog being put down. I held her paw in her final moments. Mm-hmm. That day fucked me up for a long time. Like I've not been back to the animal hospital since. Like I have no prejudice against them. They were doing their job and they understood why we were there. The dog's health was failing. But when my grandfather, who passed away about 2.5 years ago, that I still think about to this day. I'm in the house where he died. So, of course, I'll think about him every here and there. And I'm like, holy shit, it's been 2.5 years, almost 3 at this point. He's been gone.
But when you think about him, do you, like, tear up and kind of freeze up? And, like, I mean, you get sad, I would think. Did you get sad and you're like, that's...
Yeah, for the first 6 months, I'd tear up. Especially, my dad teared up. Especially him. Like, I was the... Like, it was my grandpa, but that was his dad. Like, I could especially understand, like, when my mom,
somewhere I missed something. I thought you were still talking about the an animal hospital. I'm like, somewhere you switched to talking about your grandpa. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, but when it came to my grandfather, like, he was like in his mid-70s, and he was the only grandfather I had in my life at the time for any like long amount of time. And when my mom lost both her parents, she cried and she bawled, and I couldn't blame her. If I were to lose my mom, I'd be inconsolable, or my dad. Absolutely. And I do believe, like, when it comes to pets, yeah, I'll cry for like what? A couple months. Like, well, not a couple months, like a couple weeks, maybe a month or a month and a half. When it comes to a relative, like that is something that I do believe leaves a scar on you emotionally, because it's that just rip away from you. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, that's a justification. There's the trait, guys. There's the trait. We can now kill animals with justification. Like, no, I'm not trying to name the trait or anything. We should probably hold a stream about, like, at some point in the future about veganism and the whole ethics idea. I mean,
yeah, it's that's
for
trying
another
to
time.
put animals in the same moral consideration as humans, which that to me seems downright disgusting. But yeah, we'll have that on the stream. So this was started off as kind of a half-assed joke debate, and we went. Now people are like, oh man, this got sad. Yeah,
this shit got depressing, dude.
Yeah, let's try to make it a little more upbeat. But
okay. So back to bringing things.
Next week we'll plan to do a minimum wage debate, and so everybody who was talking in the Cancer Podcast chat, because I know Colt the Ham is once again being
triggered.
Super back and forth between the two of us on that, because he's
I think it's you and Aspie are against. I don't know if you're against minimum wage as a whole, but I know you guys do not like raising the minimum wage. Colt Ham wants it raised beyond $15 an hour. Milner Man, right. He made a video.
We'll get into this next week, but I'm definitely going to bring up, and so this I'm preparing you guys for.
If you guys don't know, Milner Man made a video against raising the minimum wage a while ago, and the Drunken Peasants made a response video to him. Actually,
really? To him?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called.
How big is Milner Man's channel?
Like almost 700 subscribers, and they have like 100 and something thousand.
I was like.
And here's the video, if you want to find it, it's called Anti-Minimum Wage Douchebag. And they do criticize him a lot because he's trying to explain his position. And he brings up how he's socially liberal and fiscally conservative and opposes the drug war. So so people are like not going to accuse him of being some stoner liberal. And the Amazing Atheist looks like he starts sprigging out when they're all sarcastically congratulating him for holding all these positions. They're all like,
all right. Oh, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it went.
Like, I do want to talk about the minimum wage, but I think net neutrality is a little more pressing because the net neutrality vote is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so... let's actually scoot it up to the net neutrality thing for next week and
on the
week
7th,
after.
So on the 7th, we will be talking about net neutrality, and the 14th.
The 7th.
Duh. You just had 7.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to click on the calendar.
14.
So the 7th we will do net neutrality. 14th we will do minimum wage.
Yeah, and I think I'm free for that.
Okay.
Okay. So on the 7th, everyone, for the next show, it'll be net neutrality. I actually have heard both sides of the argument.
So I'm
a little more moderate. Imagine. Okay, I'm gonna have to copy your Paul Joseph Watson. Imagine my shock. Zach is neutral on it. He doesn't really care. He's heard the arguments from. I hope we can bring him on. Milner Man, he is. Oh my God, he is very much in favor of net neutrality.
Right. So I hope he shows up next Thursday when we discuss that. Really
I think, and Loudmouth, he doesn't really care. He believes the free market will do okay. I do remember people reporting a few instances of where AT&T and some other businesses were censoring things because they were controversial, like a reproductive rights group or a live stream that was criticizing George W. Bush, or a bunch of instances, but I have not verified them. They could be just pulled out of somebody's ass, but at the same time, I'd have to look into it further. But yeah, I do. Unless we have anything else we want to add, I will probably wrap this up here. But
yeah, so I'm just. Yeah. This is so. I think we're pretty much done with the debate. And I was trying to come up with a little bit of a lighter topic because we started talking about death at the end there. But so next.
Very happy, by the way.
Yeah, so next week
yeah.
we will talk about net neutrality, and then the 14th we'll talk about minimum wage. And for those people who are in favor of the minimum wage, what is the maximum of that minimum wage? That's yeah, $100, $1,000? Is that a good maximum for the minimum wage?
I actually do consider myself. I do not like the idea of continuing to raise it. I mean, it's like what, $7.25 in my state. I think I'd have to look into that further. But if so, it's like if we raise it to $10, I'd say okay, that's fucking enough. But I think this is not doxing because Coltaham said this publicly, and I think it was on his Twitter that he's like in Illinois or something. He said it. It was in Illinois. I don't know what their minimum wage is, but it's probably. He says he wants it raised well above like probably to $20 an hour, and I'm like,
so
I hope he's brought on for that debate.
Yeah. So to the people who are in favor of raising the minimum wage, I would say be prepared for me to ask, how high would you expect the minimum wage to go? Like what is the maximum that you would allow the minimum wage to go up? Is the sky the limit, or is there hey, if it's more than $50 an hour, we can't have a minimum wage higher than that? So that's what I would like to hear an answer about. Something
kind of
debate
to debate against Humane Mind, like it was like as part of that debate, you'd have to at least I don't know. Like, who's your interlocutor for this debate?
Well, I don't know. These debates are open to whoever. So.
Oh yes, they're open to anybody. If anyone wants to debate any one of us,
so
just
even if you're
contact.
in the chat, if you would like to debate and you'd like to come on the stream, let me know.
Yeah, I'll send the link, or you can send the link. Okay.
So essentially, we don't try to send out the link in the chat because I try to keep it to about 5 or 6 on the actual stream itself. Yeah. We don't want a full group of 10 because then that gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up something really quickly. For this debate next week on net neutrality, I will moderate. Okay. I don't know if I'll moderate or I'll have Jocelyn
on the subject. Yeah,
I actually do believe I actually want to get more involved in that discussion there. So I think I'll bring on Jocelyn to moderate because he moderated the religion debate, which you didn't like too much. But he did a good job moderating, even though none of us cut each other off that bad. So I think he's a good moderator. I moderated your debate.
The debate as far as your interactions with each other was fine. But the arguments left and right were just, I was just gritting my teeth, and I'm like, I don't think I can listen to the whole thing. And I forced myself to.
I wanted you to leave a comment like timestamp, like, okay, this is what I didn't like here. Like, I would have preferred that instead, but... Yeah.
I forced myself to listen through it. I don't know if I could force myself to listen to it again and then add little comments as I go.
Yeah, because like I don't know, because it kind of like I don't know what side I'd take on the minimum wage debate. Like if I was to argue from purely like economics 101, then probably I'd be a bit skeptical of raising it too high because it's the basic like economic. It's like 101 like the basic economics. If you know like the supply and demand curve, and then like you're setting something above the equilibrium and then like looking at what the effect is, then that's like that's kind of the fundamental.
Yeah. I just realized there is an argument in favor of minimum wage that I have heard before because I have 2 parents that are Democrats and my dad's part of a union, like a labor union. He's very much.
We'll do a debate on unions eventually. Yeah. Man, there's too many topics when it comes to economics that
I think we need to officially make a list, and I think we should make a list of topics, and then like what is more pressing, or if we're just really staunchly in favor of it, we go forward with it. Because I'm staunchly in favor of the things like the death penalty. I'm very much staunchly pro-choice. I am very staunchly against, I would say, political correctness. I mean, I'm fine with being decent, but I do believe that. Political correctness is a bit of a scourge in our society, things like that. But yeah, we did discuss Marxism in a stream. We never did touch upon Leninism or Maoism or any of those other things. We have discussed quite a few things. We discussed.
In our opinion, those are all the same thing. That's all in the umbrella of communism, and only communists are like, oh no, these are all individual things. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a discussion on because it seems to be the topic, everyone's using the topic like postmodernism, and like
I've never talked about it.
Okay, yeah, we have not done a debate on that on these streams, but we could. That's definitely a topic we'll get into.
By the way, as you bring that up, I mean, Jordan B. Peterson reminds me of Computing Forever because both use the terms, Peterson uses postmodernist a fuck ton in Computing Forever. While I do think he's all right, and I do believe his video against Marxism was pretty good, I do believe he does use the term a bit excessively. He accused someone like Sargon of Akkad of being a Marxist.
Well,
which I thought that was a whole shit show that I sadly never got to see it in Computing Forever.
I actually agreed with him based on what Sargon was saying at the time, which
I did not see what was said, so I cannot entirely agree or disagree. I have to know the full story.
I mean, Jordan Peterson, like it's this constant like postmodern, and like I saw a chat. It was an interview that he did with Camille Paglia, and at least she kind of had something to back it up with because she's like a professor of literature, so she's able to say, you know, these are the particular thinkers that she fingers at saying, and this is what they did to the minds of people who are studying literature, and this was the damage that was caused by these particular schools of thought. Like at least she had something like specific, whereas he's just he was very nebulous about like what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen that debate or that discussion because I don't think they actually debated. I think they were actually in agreement for the most part. But I haven't seen that particular video. But I do know he does. Yeah. He uses postmodernism a lot, and he blames a lot of the. But if you listen to his lectures, he goes into the details on it. So his lectures on the different thinkers and the different philosophers in postmodernism are pretty well done.
Yeah,
I also
I'd have
recommend Dr. Lehman's video on this when he's. Just kicked the shit out of skeptics. Our video on it, Armored Skeptic. So Dr. Lehman did a video explaining what postmodernism actually is. I was like, yes, that's. Yeah.
I have to ask you, man. Did you see Zach's debate on capitalism? Because I actually watched the full debate about. Yeah, Zach's debate. It was called Capitalism versus Socialism. His debate with Owen. It was with Owen. Yeah.
No, because I think the only one that I've seen with Owen is Aspie's the trans thing.
I actually watched some of his capitalism debates. There's one I was meaning to watch, but but it was before he took his videos down. I watched his debate with
may have watched that. Was that on your playlist?
Yeah, I think it was the economic debates playlist. I'd have to double check, but I listened to Zach's counterpoints, and when Owen would bring up certain things, Zach had an answer for everything, which I was very, very, very much proud of him. I thought, hey, he did a very good job at least addressing what was said. A few things he did concede some points, like I'll give you the benefit.
He conceded some points that I don't think he should have. Okay, because I so I think I
bring
did
up the
watch
thing with
that video then. So
he did bring up like the U.S. conspired to murder communists, and he said, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the U.S. did conspire to murder communists and have murdered communists, and have placed embargoes and coups against other countries that would even dare think of going to communism.
Because I know Owen. Okay, so I'm trying to remember. It's been too long since but I did end up going through that entire playlist that you did on capitalism. And that's how I discovered. Well, it used to be Capitalist Kid, and then I forget what he's calling, but he's calling himself the Atomic ANCAP at the moment. But I'm for a little kid,
he's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and he's actually quoting and mentioning actual figures. And I'm like, oh, dude, I couldn't even name that sort of stuff off the top of my head. I can remember the core arguments. I can't.
He did a live response to the comment section. He brought you up like he was showing one of your comments, and he didn't appear to agree, but. He's been getting a lot of dislikes as of recently. I don't know what he did, but
wait, he bought Atomic ANCAP brought up one of mine.
He responded to one of your comments, like in a live response to the comment section or something like that, or responding to the response videos made of him. And for some reason, the dislike button was getting spammed, and the comments are all like, "Oh my god, go do your homework." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Whenever I actually used to get those comments all the time, and I just like held them for review.
Do you have a link to that? I would like to watch
to the stream. Let me go to his channel. If I can find the link, I'll definitely send it to you for because Lonely Wolf, I want to actually have a stream with HUMANe, you, Zach, and everyone else to talk about capitalism, because you mentioned it a couple times, and you and HUMANe appear to somewhat disagree, but not entirely on the topic.
Yeah, I'm sort of more. I think on that green, you know, that lower quadrant where it's libertarian
left, libertarian left, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's in the green zone, the lower left hand quadrant of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I lie a little bit. So even though like I can still call myself a centrist because because I do have conservative ideas.
Here's Zach. All right.
Hey Zach, what's up? Yeah. Let me see.
Now that Zach's here, we can stop. We can't, or we need to stop talking shit about him. Is that how that works? Or we should start talking shit about him.
Oh, fuck you, Lucifer. Get my torch and pitchfork on you.
Hey Zach.
He's no longer Lucifer. He's now the full-blown Bahamut.
Yeah, Bahamut. Oh, that's how you pronounce it. I feel like such a.
That's a weird spelling.
Behemoth.
Baphomet or Bahamut. Either way.
Bahamut. I think it's pronounced Bahamut.
Yeah.
Because I love the new avatar with Zach. That's like an amazing sort of, because we sort of saw you designing it, and then I was thinking, I saw the finished product, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh shit!
I think I kind of like my new avatar. It's growing on me, literally.
Yeah, at least mine, like, okay, mine is like 4th rate, but it's like, at least, I don't know, I kind of did it because I did a video where like I did the speed up motion of me drawing and things like that, and then like I'm glad I used like the monocle, like the yellow, the gold. Yeah. With those black glasses, it was like everyone saying, "Oh, you look like a raccoon," and I was like, "No."
Yeah, no. They're gonna start calling you Minding Freedom.
Yeah, and then it's like, no. So now I kind of look like a wolf.
You know,
it was interesting. I enjoyed doing the video because when I watched back, I was like, "Oh god, that's like so aesthetic." It's like watching myself draw in like fast motion or something like that.
Yeah,
I saw Zach's video and it's pretty damn interesting to watch. I actually did capture some footage in that stream you were on of mine, Lonely Wolf, of him drawing his avatar. It was pretty good. Yeah. So HUMANe, I think I may have found the video. It's over an hour, so you're probably gonna have to scam.
Oh, I gotta scam through the whole thing because I would like to see what his position was. Because
I can't remember what it was, but he said no, and then he just started talking, and then I got distracted by the chat and.
Notification time. I got a new video from JPM.
No, I'm actually surprised that there's actually this like growing group of kids in their early teens that are talking about this sort of thing, and that's kind of amazing because I didn't even start looking into economics until I was in my mid-20s. So,
I didn't look into it until I was like around of this time. In fact, on the 4th, it'll been a year since I actually started hearing about capitalism more and more often. And then I started following like Hoodie Demon, Mr. Dapperton, Shane Killian. You name it, the 3 ANCAP team.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that these 12 and 13-year-olds are quoting Mises and talking about Rothbard and talking about making arguments from Hayek, and like, what? Like I didn't even know who those guys were until about 6 years ago when I mid-20s reading this sort of stuff, and these kids, they're not even none of them even have jobs. And they're talking about economics like they know economics like the back of their hand. I'm like, man, I wish I would have had that. Yeah,
there's a few in particular, like one of them seemed like the stereotypical teenager, and I actually laughed a little, but I actually could get where they're coming from. I actually did sympathize with a few ANCAP talking points back like in March and April. I actually still agree with them to a certain extent. The ANCAP discussion stream I just reposted and everything, and Secular Hawk didn't like it. I think I'll have that person on for a stream and hash out our disagreements and shit. So Zach, how you doing?
The guy was talking shit about how Humane Mind voted for Trump.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you voted for Trump and he's like, ANCAPs don't vote for Trump or something.
Well, okay, I said the guy, but apparently I checked out Secular Hawk's channel very briefly. It's a gal.
Yeah, it sounds like a gal. Like I'm sorry if we're assuming your gender, but like either the person is like having a really high pitched voice or that's a woman. I don't really care either way, but I do want to bring on Son of Lucifer.
How do you know that they're not a man living in a woman's body?
Oh shit! I need to check my privilege, guys. I'll be right back.
No, don't leave me.
Anyway, how you doing, Zach?
So,
I have a cold, and so I'm kind of exhausted. I mean, like literally, at the very bare end of work, my whole body just started feeling all foggy and heavy. And as soon as I got back home, I showered and then just took like a long 2-hour nap.
I can relate. I took a 4-hour nap because I had a very severe migraine a few weeks ago when we were having that whole religion education stream. I took a 4-hour nap just because of how bad that migraine was. So no worries. I can get where you're coming from. Zach, while you're here, I just want to actually make a debate proposition for you. You and I and Aspie debated religion a couple months ago where we were supposed to have Son of Lucifer on, but he didn't join. I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I think maybe around just next month or January, if you want, like try that debate again. Like this time, like the actual 2-on-2 we're supposed to do. Like me and Son of Lucifer or Baphomet, whatever the fuck his last name is, Baphomet, Reborn, Baphomet Reborn.
I just call him Reborn. It's much easier.
Yeah, Reborn. Yeah,
we could try it again.
You're disrespecting the man. How dare you?
The reason why I come on though is because a few minutes ago I was just watching this stream go down, this current one. And I was hearing you guys talk about my performance versus Owen McDonald on Capitalism.
I thought you did
there was too many.
I think you did a good job overall, but then again, I don't remember much of the debate. I remember mostly just cringing at Owen McDonald not sticking to definitions. You would call him out on something, and he would say, "Oh no," and then he would offer you some other kind of explanation. And then 5 minutes later, he's not even sticking to his own argument that was made.
Please, HUMANe, I beg of you. I will give you Bitcoin or invest in Bitcoin if you please, for the love of all things holy. Call him out on that in the debate.
Yeah,
like, okay,
I will try to. That is something I'm going to keep my eye on when we do debate. Where it's like, okay, you said that this was your definition, and this was your explanation.
You debate.
If that happens, like a strong if. I don't know if you're gonna stream it on your channel, like you'll use OBS and he'll stream with Hangouts. I'll watch your end of the debate, so you get the watch time. That's why I was hoping Aspie and Zach would re-upload their debate so they get the watch time. Because that YouTube algorithm, though. I did get where Owen was coming from on the first fourth of the debate with transgender people and jokes. I could get where he's coming from. The second part of the debate was abortion. I could agree with him there. The third part was capitalism. I could not agree with him less. The fourth part of the debate I thought was really pointless that actually happened because it was the most it was done to death on the internet, feminism versus anti-feminism, and he hardly addressed anything, and I'm like, I don't know why you guys even brought that up. You should have brought up capitalism at the end of the debate because he sounded tired at the end. He would have perked up right then and there and be like, oh, capitalism? All right. I think that's the only topic I have not debated him. Immigration, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and capitalism.
There is one topic that's interesting because it would probably be like because I'd probably be on the same side as Owen. It's about like the because there's a couple of comments you've made about certain like I guess the goal of education, because it seems to me like I might be strawmanning, but it seems like one of your big things is like it's what's kind of relevant now. So what's going to help you with your career and whatever. So
for me, that's
I kind of view that it's like a broad process. So it's like you're learning certain skills that are relatable, but at the same time you're kind of learning about your own kind of culture, and that's so I take a high value in poetry.
If you think about it, education is practical knowledge. If it's not if it's not practical, then it becomes trivia.
Yeah.
Knowledge that's not really useful doesn't really help you in life, but I guess it'll help you win a trivia contest. It'll help you win Trivial Pursuit. Yeah. It'll help you get free beer at the bar.
I am willing to discuss this with you and Owen if you hold the same position. Like, I'm willing to discuss this with really anybody, to be honest. But just to clarify, in my opinion, just honestly, there's certain classes I just genuinely do not give a flying rat's cunt about. Like, I'll of course pay attention because the grades, but all in all, it's very hard to give a shit. Like, I don't mind the English class, but when we read stupid fucking books nobody really likes, and a lot of students in that class do not like the book, as we've been forced to read that for several years, you tend to just get frustrated with the class. And it's like, okay, I can understand the English language just fine. If there's somebody out there who can't, that's fine. Bring them in. I'll happily let them take my place. ROTC, I think, is more important because I do believe discipline is important, and children in my country suck absolute dick at having discipline. I'm sorry, but there's some children I would break my belt with how hard I'd just be like. And then and other things that I believe are genuinely more important, like in ROTC, they're teaching us about CPR that could save lives. I don't believe that a piece of shit book called House on Mango Street, written 17 years before I was even born on this planet.
I'll have to look that up. Is it prose style, or is it there's got to be more to it than
it's just 110 pages. That's literally it's 110 pages. It's like this. It's about the size of this yearbook. It's about this thin or something. But
and that's like
hey.
There's so many better pieces of literature. What is the significance of that?
I would rather read mystery novels. Like, I don't mind reading. Like, for instance, I don't know about you guys, but I don't mind.
Do they give you an explanation of why that book is so profound or so amazing and so critical to your?
The reason is I think that one of the reasons they gave was culture this, because we were learning about Mexican culture and Native American culture. I'm like, who the fuck cares? In an English class, yes. The teacher was also the teacher, and this reminded me of Zach a lot. She's like, you cannot make racially insensitive jokes. And in my head, I can just see on the board a clip of Zach saying,
the purpose of English class is not to teach you about other cultures.
Yeah, like, I was like, what the fuck are we doing learning about culture? Like,
when you're talking about learning about other cultures, that's social studies.
Yeah, that's social studies. I mean, I believe it's a bit of both, but it's like, but yeah. I don't mind reading this.
No, they are robbing you of good literature and learning different writing styles and learning what makes a classic a classic.
This book I would much rather read, and I actually like it more.
Yeah, your teacher is doing you a major disservice there.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys have not read John Grisham, the Chamber, I actually read it and it was pretty damn good. I've been meaning to read it again. I actually have a bit of a collection of these books.
I don't like how all this stuff is about law, but then again, that's what he knows. You write what you know, right?
I kind of want to go back on the issue of Owen McDonald and abortion. Yeah. He seems to be rather salty about the fact that I'm anti-abortion. Like, during
he's salty about a lot of things, but
like for example, when I tagged him the one video that I made about him, at the very end of the Twitter exchange, he was all like, "I don't think anyone should take you seriously because you're anti-abortion," or something along those lines.
That's an ad hominem attack.
Yeah, he was saying that I have, or at least given the clear-cut implication that I don't have any credibility just because I consider abortion murder. Like, fuck you, dude. At least I provide sources. That's the worst thing that you could do, is not provide sources. And
exactly.
You also go mentioning of how you agree more with Owen on abortion than me. There was still some fallacious things that he said during the debate. Like, for example, he said that they're not alive, that unborn fetuses are not alive. And look, even if you think that fetuses past 8 weeks are not viable for the right to life, in between 8 weeks and 20 weeks, I mean, even if you think they're not viable for the same right to life, it's still a denial of biology to say that they are not alive because they have their own being, heart, and whatnot. Sorry?
I hate to bring this up. Like, you just said he's a biology denier. That's like, dude, he thinks there's a gender spectrum. What the fuck do you expect? Seriously. But I will not lie. I do not like how he argues in favor of abortion using the argumentative style. Like, okay, you can say it's a woman's right all you want, but you have to have more than that. You have to have much more than that. Like, like, I'm not going to pull a war corpse and just say, oh, it's just a bag of meat. Plain and simple. I mean,
he also seemingly really did not want to have the discussion, because at one point it was all like, I don't even know why we're talking about this.
You should have asked him, why the hell did you agree to include this in the topic? Like, what the fuck? Like, that never made sense.
Maybe because he thought that I was some weak-minded idiot that was easily going to convert to his position on that.
Yeah, and when it comes to...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to give any implications with that statement.
Well, that's the impression I would get. And when it came
so as far as gender being on a spectrum, I think it is on a spectrum, but not the way that they say it is. I think it's more of a spectrum like a number line, but where positive and negative numbers is a spectrum. Because there's... I mean, you've seen men that are men, but they're not men. Like men. They're not manly men, but they're still distinctly men. You can tell the difference, right?
Yeah, like the.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like extremely masculine and
there's
somewhat feminine.
extreme masculine. Like you think about like a manly man, you would think, hey, The Rock. But then you've also seen The Rock play a gay guy in Be Cool? And you're like, okay, he looks like a dude, but he's acting like a woman. Still definitely a dude, but closer towards the division there.
You evil transfer.
That sort of spectrum makes sense to me, but there is a definite and clear distinction between the two halves of it. So there's spectrum in how masculine and feminine you can be, but once you cross that line, you're a woman. Once you cross the line the other way, you're a man.
And overall, in that entire 2.5 hour debate, which I did listen to the whole thing, and my God, like it reminded me of Aspie's debate because how like I've not been able to watch his debate a second time. I just get too pissed off, like because I'm like, oh my God.
That's the way I feel about most debates. It's like,
it's like I don't mind debating people. Don't get me wrong. I've had more debates than him actually, than Owen. I've had over 20 debates on my channel. I'm not saying I'm more open-minded or anything, but I'm not going to be all like, no, what you said was absolute crap. Like, to me, it's like the debate should just be over. You're not going to be charitable. You might as well have. He says he refuses to debate the topic of whether or not trans people are valid anymore, and I'm not going to say what topics he should or shouldn't debate.
Well, the one that we brought up about like kind of education, that'd be perfect for like someone like Owen, because it's something that's not, because I think he would probably take my side of like what the mission of education is, which is and you know I could get my ass kicked whatever, but it's not really like it's not really about that. It's like just listening to somebody else's perspective.
Yeah, you did bring up a comment on my debate with Owen, which you actually seemed, and I'm not trying to like put words in your mouth, but you, or however you were, you did seem rather surprised that me and him were on the same side debating against Zach and JJ. Which, to be fair, Zach, I'll bring this up. You apologized to me for it being a 2-on-1 with you and Aspie, but to be fair, it was a 2-on-1 with. It was really a 2-on-1 with me and Owen and you. The debate that I think Lonely Wolf commented on was the debate with me and Owen versus Zach and JJ.
Oh, well, wait. So you're saying that it was a 2-on-1 because JJ didn't hardly contribute?
Yeah, he hardly said anything. He seemed like rather nervous.
It could have been, I think, because he was sort of saying, "Oh, I don't really have an opening statement." I was thinking, "Oh God, you've not really."
Thought this
I've watched 30 minutes of the debate, which this is the first time I've viewed the debate since it went live on Jocelyn's channel. I do like how Owen was like his arguments about whether or not what certain things were a loving act or things like that. I will watch the full thing from start to finish. But 30 minutes in so far, I probably will trim out the part where the debate is pretty much over and we've made our closing statements and we were on there for like a few more minutes. But other than that, the thing that I really liked is the fact how calm it was. It was the final debate before the school year was going to start. And I felt such a calm that day. It felt nice. And the fact we could actually have a civil discussion about something that is not all that controversial as it used to be on YouTube, I thought was great. And whether you agree with our arguments or not, I mean, you do have to. HUMANe, you did give us credit because we at least addressed the point or conceded the point. When Zach said, "I don't really have an opening statement," I did kind of feel bad.
Don't you mean when JJ said he doesn't really have an opening statement?
You both said, "Oh, I didn't really plan an opening statement." I'm like, "Oh God." I had it in my head the entire time, so I'm like, when you guys said you didn't have it, I'm like, oh, thank God, I can remember what it was. Then I presented it. Then Owen's like, I agree, and then he went with his own opening statement.
I probably need to think of myself more of an opening statement on the 3 issues: abortion, economics, and freaking religion when I go debating Mjolnir Man, and hopefully I'll be a lot better by Sunday afternoon.
I think your debating skills have improved because Zach's first debate on YouTube was his debate with me on abortion, which I've watched the full thing. I like it. It's technical difficulties and all. Then you had a second debate with me on religion. It was 1-on-1. Then you had a debate with Owen. Then you had a debate with me and Owen, and then against me a couple more times and HUMANe. So I think your debating skills have very much improved. You do articulate your positions a lot, which I do believe you should give yourself some credit for. The debate will happen on the 3rd of December. I think we've agreed, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time?
Yes.
Sunday. Yeah,
and I'm really thinking that we should keep the all-in-all debate in under 2 hours, so that we don't get like a
30,
too
40,
off
30,
track.
45 minutes, you said. So if it's 30 minutes, it'll be an hour and a half. But if it's another,
Right.
it'll be like.
Speaking
I mean,
of
we'll
under
have like
2
another
hours,
30.
We are pushing over the 2 hour mark right now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, but yeah, like the debate on Sunday on the those three things will keep to an hour and a half to maybe a little over 2. As for this stream, I think this is where we wrap it up. Closing statements, the arguments I made, closing statements.
You're in favor of traps because you don't want to. So you want to bang a trap without feeling like you're gay. We understand your closing statement there. You don't need to make it.
Yeah. Or I could have just said simply,
and
that was a horrible
Loudmouth is
argument.
not here to defend himself, but his closing statement would be that he is going to watch Jack and Jill while masturbating to pictures of No BS. And Lone Wolf is going to camp out in a tree near Onision's house and basically stalk Onision instead of it the other way around for once.
I'm a fan because I'm a fanboy. Oh god, that was the most suicidal moment in my life.
And me on the other hand is I'm going to completely abandon my website that I'm building at the moment and just start investing in Google stock.
Oh, this was the most painful debate I've ever had. Okay, so that's where we're going to wrap this up.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to do my little plug while your channel's still going before you have time to shut it off. It's funfair.com, funfair with an E at the end, F-A-I-R-E, F-U-N-D-F-A-I-R-E.com. Check it out. Give me your feedback. You can hit me up at HUMANE Mind. All my stuff is in my channel and all that sort of thing.
And as for promoting my own website, I have a website called Zach Edwards Likes Trannies. And till next time.
Alright, I'm still streaming on mine. There is something else I want to say. That is just a splash page. Splash page. Anyway.
Oh god, you're the next Red Pill Black.
Muted me again.
So the site that's up there is not the official site. The official site will be launching. The public beta will be launching at the Kilroy event. That is my plan right now. Is to launch the public beta during Kilroy. And on that, I'm going to stop my stream. And you should be seeing advertisements and all that sort of stuff throughout the
next few days. I muted you so you wouldn't be able to interrupt me because I'm a cunt. You knew this, Zach.
Oh god. I guess the new saying now is no longer JJ likes trannies, but Zach likes trannies, right?
Yep.
No, I just felt like saying it because JJ wasn't here to be triggered. I should have said, actually, as always, Zach Edwards likes Triologic's face. Till next time.
All right.